Hi, everybody. This is Cristina from TriathlonMami, Dashstrom Coaching, and Dashstrom Run Clubs. And I help moms just like you redefine what is possible for yourself, for your family, for your communities. And oftentimes that means starting your business. And in my case, starting a children's fitness business. But we're doing this 12 days of nonsense, which is basically the reasons that I have heard on the phone for the past 11 months of why moms chose not to live their best life, why not to follow their dreams. And maybe that was starting a business, maybe it was running a marathon, maybe it was going back to school, whatever it is that there was a desire inside of you, but you still didn't do it. And we're going over the excuses, the reasons, the nonsense that we tell ourselves as moms of why we can't fulfill our dreams. And I know that the word nonsense might bring some of you away, but I'm not here to judge you because none of these things that I'm telling you aren't like I've been through all of them myself. But just because I have doesn't mean that they make it valid. It's still nonsense. So today, I'm actually a little nervous because it is one of the most important things that I have learned in my journey and that I teach my clients. And I want to get it right. So I'm a little nervous about this. So bear with me. Okay. So yesterday's nonsense, we talked about the fear of failure, right? Like, what if I start my business? What if I do this and then I fail? I'm not successful. And the fear of failure is huge and it encompasses all kinds of different things. So yesterday we talked about, well, what if we're going to use start a business as the goal today. Okay. Right. What if I start a business and I fail? It's going to be so embarrassing. So that's one thing. And we talked about that yesterday, and I encourage you to go watch that video. Today, we're going to talk about a different aspect of the fear of failure, which is, what if I start a business, I'm not successful, I'm taking something away from my family, from my kids. And so that makes me selfish. That's what we're going to talk about today, because as real and as illogical as that maybe seems, it's still nonsense. So we're going to dive in. I am going to look every now and then at my notes because, like I said, I don't want to get it wrong. Okay. So if I had a dime, anytime somebody told me, like, I can't start my business because I would be selfish, I would be taking resources away from my kids, I would be broke. Nobody has ever told me that because that's not something that we hear on a conscious level. That's not like an intellectual exercise. That's something that we feel more. So unless we are aware that that's what we're doing, we don't even know that we're doing it. Okay. So why is this bullshit? We as women, most of us, we're taught that moms need to be self-sacrificing, that once you have your child, your life is no longer yours, and that everything that you do needs to be in pro of that child, because they're your responsibility. You brought them into this world. Yes and no. But we glorify this self-sacrificing mother, and it's just not healthy. It's not healthy for you, and it's not healthy for your child. And I'm going to show you how. Let's say, did you know, the human body can live without water for about 3 days. After 3 days, your organs start to shut down, and one of the first things to go is your brain. And this is not up for discussion. This is biology. All right. So let's pretend that you are lost in the desert and you have 2 young kids with you, and you have 5, let's put 4 or 5 days, whatever, for you to get to safety. And you don't have enough water for all of you to make it through all that time. This is what happens. Let's say that instead of you taking some of that water, you give them to your kids because they're your kids. And not only are they your kids, that you love them, like you're in this dire situation and they're whiny and they're complaining and they're thirsty and they're crying and they're begging you for water. So instead of you taking the water for yourself, because, God forbid you not give something to your kids, you give them the water and you don't take any water for yourself. The thing is, you're still like 4 days from safety. So you're going to die in day 3. And not only are you going to die in day 3, they're probably going to perish also, because how are they supposed to find their way to safety if they're just young kids? So I know this is an extreme example, but that's exactly what we do. We give all our resources to our kids, but then we don't have any for us to be able to lead those children to a successful life. So your selfishness, because you don't want to be selfish and have some of that water and take care of yourself, you've killed your entire family. And again, I know this sounds like an extreme example, but that is exactly what this nonsense is about. I mean, there is a reason why in the airplanes, I know we haven't traveled in a long time, but there's that sign, you put your mask on, your oxygen mask on you before you put it on your child, because if you put it on your child, you're not going to have enough oxygen to help them. And there's a reason why it's always a woman in that thing, right? It's always a woman when they're talking about it. So, because that's our instinct, that's what we do. Okay. So why? I mean, it sounds crazy, but why is it so? Okay, let me try this again. So let's say that what you want is to start your business. Okay, let's bring this from this extreme example to something practical. So let's say that you want to start a business and it's something that you really, really want. Not like, oh, it would be nice. Like you watch Shark Tank every Friday night, or I was just on the phone with a mom yesterday, and she would walk by a storefront in her downtown and just sit there and look in and imagine what it would be like to have her yoga studio there. Like this is something that you really, really want. And let's say that it's going to cost you, I don't know, $5,000 in order for you to start your business, which is like peanuts, but okay, whatever. $5,000. And you want to start that business, you're dreaming about it, you think about it all the time, you research about it, you're daydreaming about it, but Johnny, your son, he needs braces. And that's like $6,000. And Mary, your daughter, her coach, her gymnastics coach just told you that, she's really good. And he would like her to be in the competitive team. And the competitive team is expensive as hell, because you have the training and the coaching and the traveling and the competitions and blah, 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 blah. So those $5,000 that you need to start your business, you can't have, because your son needs braces and your daughter needs, shows promise, and you're going to put her in competitive gymnastics. And of course, their needs comes first. So you can't spend the money on yourself. Now, we're going to talk about this myth of I don't have enough money, and that's another nonsense, and we'll talk about that at another time. But right now I want you to think that you are in that position where your kids need the same resources that you need, and so you're not going to do something for yourself so that your kids can have these things. This is why what happens. It doesn't matter how much of a loving mother you are, you will resent your kids. And not only that, but you're going to lash out on them or take it out on them. And it's not going to be something that you do on purpose. And it's not going to be something in your conscious. It's going to be something that's very much in your unconscious level. But this is how it happens. So let's say Mary, comes to you one day and she's like, you know what, Mom? I'm tired. I don't want to go to gymnastics practice today. Can I skip? And you're going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what do you mean skip? You can't skip gymnastics. Like we're spending all this money. Do you know how expensive it is? Do you know what I haven't done for myself for you to be able to go to gymnastics, and now you don't feel like it? Are you kidding me? You're going to go to gymnastics, and not only that, you're going to love it, damn it. Is that fair to Mary, who's just a kid and maybe she's just tired and wants a day off? Or maybe you don't do that, or maybe another way that we take it out is like, we're like, oh, is it wine o'clock yet? Because I just can't handle my kids anymore. And then many of us drink a little bit more than we should. Or maybe it's arguing with your partner. And this is especially true for stay-at-home moms because I know I was one. Like, as when you're a stay-at-home mom, like your spouse is working their butt off for you to be able to stay home and take care of the kids. So if you're home to take care of the kids, like, you're not going to do everything for them. I mean, like, after all the sacrifice that your spouse is doing for you, it's like thinking of yourself means that you're selfish. But if you don't, you will lash out in your kids in that way. And it's just not fair. It's not fair to them to own the burden of your feeling like you are not living in your purpose. And it's not fair to you to not be able to live your life fully just because you are a mom. The only day of the year, like Mother's Day is not the only day of the year that you should feel appreciated, that you should be able to get what you need, right? Like, you need to be able to find a way to live in your purpose, to follow your dreams, even if you are a mom. And taking care of those needs does not make you selfish. Taking care of those needs is like you drinking water in the desert. It means you taking care of yourself so that you can then lead your kids to safety. If you don't do that, if you're like this martyr, self-sacrificing mother that does everything for their kids, and so I can't do anything for myself, you're not doing you any favors, and you're especially not doing them any favors. I know this is hard to hear. I do. But it's absolutely true. And I cannot tell you how many moms I have worked with. Well, actually, I have not worked with because of this. And again, they don't tell me, or you don't tell me, oh, Cristina, I can't do it because, I'm going to feel selfish taking something away from my kids. You're going to put it on like, I don't have the money, which is another nonsense. And we'll talk about that. Or I don't know, my kids need me too much, or like it comes out in different ways. But what you're really saying is, I feel selfish if I do something for me. I feel like I live in a zero-sum game, that me doing something for myself means that I'm not doing something for my kids, and that just makes me feel terrible. So that's a storyline. It's complete nonsense, because when you do that, like I just showed you, you end up resenting your kids. You end up taking actions that are detrimental to them, to the people that you love the most. Okay. So if you want to change that, you need to be aware of that. And you need to understand that self-care is love to everybody else. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. Taking care of yourself is an act of love towards the people that you love the most. So if you have wanted to start a business, if you have wanted to start a children's run club, and we haven't had that conversation yet, and you've just been afraid because you have all these feelings of how could you, then let's talk. Or even if we've talked before and you want to talk again, book a call, dsrunclub.com/apply. My role there is not to convince you, and it's not to sell you on one damn thing. My role is just to show you, if this is what you want, is to facilitate it so that you can have it. That's it. It's a conversation. So go ahead and book a call. If you don't want to start a business, but the stuff that I'm talking to you about kind of resonates with you, and you want to explore more about your conscious behavior, your subconscious behavior, like why do you believe these stories and how these stories are stopping you from living your best life, then we've got an awesome program. It's called Mind the Gap. This is the link, mtg.dashstrom.com. And it costs $3.25 a day for 30 days. So if you go today and you buy a coffee at a gas station, because you're not going to be able to afford one at Starbucks, or anytime you spend $3.25 today, think that instead of spending that money on that coffee, you could have been working on yourself. And working on yourself is an act of love. It's an act of love towards everybody else that you love. Okay? So nonsense number 3 was a toughie, but it's, it's you doing something for yourself does not take away from your kids. It's not, self-care is not selfish. I'm going to rename that. Self-care is not selfish. Okay. All right, guys, I hope that you're getting a lot of value out of our 12 days of nonsense. If you're watching this live, it is Friday, so I'm not going to be here Saturday or Sunday. I will be back on Monday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, 8:30 Pacific. Have write down your comments. Tell me what your ahas are. Ask me questions. I'm here to help you. And every time that you post a comment, it's one entry to a raffle that at the end of the 12 days, somebody will win a free entry into our Mind the Gap program, which is a really, really cool program. So I hope this was helpful. Have a great day. And I will see you Monday with our 4th nonsense of things that we tell ourselves or things that we believe that really hold us back from living in our purpose. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Bye.